ready to allow emergency abortions in Idaho when a pregnant person's health is at serious risk. That's according to a Bloomberg report that says a copy of the opinion was briefly posted Wednesday on the court's website. The document suggests the court will reinstate a lower court order allowing hospitals to perform emergency abortions in that state.
Lower courts will rule, hopefully, that pregnant patients in Idaho have the same access to emergency care that everyone else does.
President Biden and former President Donald Trump will square off tomorrow night in the first presidential debate of the 2024 election season. The debate, hosted by CNN, will be the first time either candidate has been on a debate stage since 2020. Trump will get the final word of the night after Biden chose to have his podium on the right side. Mics will be muted except for when they are speaking. Border Patrol agents have seen a 40% drop in migrant encounters. The 7-day average is now under 2,400 encounters.
These actions are changing the calculus for those considering crossing our border.
Those are your headlines. Now your weather on the ones.
Hi there, I'm meteorologist Robert Santos. Well, those overnight temperatures starting a little more comfortable out there. Thursday morning, we'll start off in the 50s and 60s in the Midwest and the Northeast. Temperatures during the day also coming down. So yes, it'll be more mild in Milwaukee at 67. Warm in Boston and New York, no 90s there. Still some 90s in the southern tier. Now, we'll be watching for overnight storms to move into the Northeast. By the time we wake up Thursday morning, it'll be out of there. Then a slight risk of severe weather popping up in the central and northern plains.
Controversy inside the nation's highest court. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dean Meminger in for Sharon Tazwell. Well, for the second time in 2 years, an abortion-related document with the Supreme Court's opinion on a case appeared online before officially being released. According to a Bloomberg report, someone at the court briefly posted the opinion by justices to allow emergency abortions on a temporary basis while appeals play out in Idaho. Spectrum's Daniel Grimes reporting tonight from Washington on what's being called an astonishing breach of protocol.
The Supreme Court may be on the verge of protecting abortion access when the mother's life is at risk, 2 years after it overturned Roe v. Wade, ending the constitutional right to the procedure. According to Bloomberg News, the court's website on Wednesday briefly contained an opinion allowing emergency abortions in Idaho, despite state restrictions that do not provide an exception for the mother's health. The court spokeswoman acknowledged the leak, saying, quote, "The court's publications unit inadvertently and briefly uploaded a document to the court's website." The spokeswoman said the actual decision will come in due course. Earlier Wednesday, in a 6-3 decision, the court rejected a Republican-led effort to limit the Biden administration's efforts to have social media companies remove disinformation on their sites. The states of Louisiana and Missouri and social media users sued the Biden administration, claiming their First Amendment rights were violated and accused the government of censoring speech it didn't like. Justice Amy Coney Barrett wrote the majority decision, arguing the plaintiffs did not have the legal standing to sue because they were not harmed. The White House argued any stifling of its ability to flag certain posts as harmful would have broad implications.
It could have opened a floodgate of frivolous and questionable litigation every time the social media platform took down a questionable or even an unquestionable post or statement.
In his dissent, Justice Samuel Alito called it a regrettable decision that ignores the threat to free speech. One expert says it's time for Congress to act, but getting agreement on such a contentious issue would appear to be unlikely.
Harmful information that is going to, make Americans less safe, less healthy, infringe on our national security, that information isn't making its way across the social media landscape.
Now, several major cases remain pending as the court's current term draws to an end. Now, the biggest involves whether Donald Trump should be immune from prosecution for trying to overturn the result of the 2020 election in his final weeks as president. A ruling in that case could come as soon as Thursday. In Washington, Daniel Grimes, Spectrum News.
All eyes will be on Atlanta Thursday night as President Biden and former President Trump will go head-to-head in the first presidential debate of the 2024 election. Now, Spectrum News national political reporter Taylor Populage joins us from just outside of Atlanta. And Taylor, how are both campaigns preparing for the highly anticipated night?
Good to be with you, Dean. So the Joe Biden and Donald Trump campaigns are both projecting confidence and trying to manage expectations heading into this debate on Thursday here in Georgia. Polls show Biden and Trump head-to-head tied neck and neck nationally. So a good performance on the debate stage could have an impact. And both campaigns spent time here on Wednesday reaching out to key voting blocs. The Biden campaign held a press conference at the Georgia State Capitol featuring two Republicans who call Trump a threat to democracy and are backing Biden, former Illinois Congressman Adam Kinzinger and former Georgia Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan, a clear play for Republican voters who do not like Trump.
I am proud to stand up here today as a conservative Republican and endorse Joe Biden for re-election to President of the United States.
There are political ramifications to this decision, but they pale in comparison to 4 more years of Donald Trump.
Across town, the Trump campaign held a roundtable at a barber shop focused on Black American business leaders in a state where over 33% of the population is Black.
Black excellence is for everyone.
Trump and Biden have not debated each other or anyone else since they faced off in October 2020. Biden has spent the last week away from the cameras at the presidential retreat Camp David in Maryland, prepping with over a dozen close aides. Trump, meanwhile, has been informally meeting with allies while making at least 4 campaign stops in different states. At a GOP voter training event in Pennsylvania last week, Trump fans echoed his unfounded claim that the debate might be rigged against him.
I watch it for no other reason to see how the media is, spinning it and how the moderators are spinning it and, how they try to rig things to help hapless old Joe.
Here in Georgia, one Biden fan told us the debate will not affect her support for the president.
There's not really a choice, I guess. I was a political science major, got my grad degree in political science, and I know enough about autocracy to know that Trump is a problem.
Georgia native and political communication expert Casey Myers says the debate could still make a difference.
If you look at a state like Georgia, which went for Trump in 2016 and then went for Biden in 2020 by a very small margin, you may see a situation where these debates really have an impact, and they may have an impact on those undecided voters.
And this debate will be unique in that the candidates' microphones will be muted when it's not their turn to speak, and there will be no studio audience. Dean?
Now, Taylor, what more have you heard about final preps?
So I've been in touch with both campaigns. The Biden campaign says the president is continuing to do his day job while he's been at the presidential retreat Camp David in Maryland for the last 7 days. So running the free world, but also meeting with a team of 16 of his closest advisors and going through debate prep, debate rehearsals, mock debates, that side of it. The Trump campaign, meanwhile, continues to push the unfounded claim that Biden will show up to the debate on drugs in order to be energized. There is no evidence behind that, but Trump and his advisors are continuing to push it. The former president also, his team said, will come in with his usual personality and try to hit on a lot of the topics he talks about in his rallies. So it'll be interesting to compare.
Yeah, that's right. Taylor Poplar is in Metro Atlanta. Thank you.
And a reminder, you can watch the CNN presidential debates on Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern on CNN or simulcast right here on Spectrum News. Our coverage starts at 8:55. Then our political team breaks down all the hits and misses in our post-debate special.
Just ahead on Spectrum News, migrants at the border. What a new report is revealing weeks after the Biden administration's new asylum order.
Spectrum News Plus. News from a new perspective, dedicated to refreshing storytelling and empowering communities across the nation. With balanced reporting, providing real context and in-depth coverage 24 hours a day.
Here's a look at your forecast across the country.
Local stories, connecting communities. We are Spectrum News Plus. Streaming now on the Spectrum News app and free with your Spectrum subscription.
At Spectrum, we know how much you depend on the reliability of our products and services. Now, we've taken a new step forward in reliability by identifying potential service issues before they become a problem. If you're affected, we'll contact you and help schedule a free service appointment with one of our expert technicians. The proactive maintenance of our network is one of the many reasons Spectrum delivers the most reliable internet speeds in the nation. Spectrum, keeping you connected.
Realized I wanted to go back to school because I didn't want to work these back-breaking jobs the rest of my life. With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed to come back to school. I felt accomplished, made me feel that I could take on whatever challenges life throws at you.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Stormy Wednesday for many. Hi there, I'm meteorologist Robert Santos, and you can see in these areas in yellow where there was a slight chance of some severe weather from the central U.S. out towards the northeast, all because of these storms moving across the area overnight. By the time we wake up Thursday morning, these storms should be clear out of the northeast. Then we'll be focusing right here, the central U.S., central northern plains, because of these storms here. And that's where we're seeing an enhanced risk for some severe weather. All these areas you see right here in brown, yellow, a slight chance. So basically through the Dakotas, stay on high alert, especially if you're going to be traveling to those areas there. Can't rule out some hail, some damaging wind, and even a tornado. Here's a closer look of what we're seeing here for Thursday night as it starts to get fired up right around there from Kansas City, from Missouri, basically all the way up into the Midwest, the Great Lakes, pushing across into Saturday morning. You can see there in Missouri, those storms coming across from Kansas into Missouri. And as we go into Saturday afternoon, that will start to move across the Great Lakes once again. A little farther south, we'll be watching for storms bubbling up once again in the afternoon in Florida. And hot and humid as well out in the Four Corners. Because of this, we've got monsoon storms moving across the area here each afternoon. And let's look at the next 3 days. Charlotte, North Carolina. We've got rain in your forecast for Friday. Otherwise dry, but yeah, still pretty hot with upper 80s and some low 90s out there. Orlando, Florida, all in the low 90s here with thunderstorms just about every single day as we go into the weekend. New York City, we've got a drop into the upper 70s on Friday. A nice change overall, considering you were really hot, even the 90s there. St. Louis, Missouri, we've got a slight warming trend to about low 90s on Saturday with some rain in the forecast. Now, looking at the precipitation outlook from July 1st through the 5th, and you can see all these areas are expecting a wetter than average outlook here. This is where we're expecting the best chance for wetter than average conditions because of monsoon storms.
If you're just joining us, here's what you need to know. The Supreme Court could side with the Biden administration to allow emergency abortions in Idaho. Bloomberg reports a copy of the opinion was inadvertently posted on the court's website. Meantime, the justices ruled the U.S. government can keep warning social media companies about mis- and disinformation threats seen online. President Biden and former President Trump will face off in a presidential debate Thursday. With some new rules, mics will be muted and there will not be a live audience. That's what you need to know this evening. It's been just over 3 weeks since President Joe Biden announced new asylum restrictions at the border. And tonight, as Spectrum's Ariel Wessler reports, we're getting a look at the latest Homeland Security report showing that there's a drop in migrant encounters at the U.S.-Mexico border.
After 3 weeks of President Biden's asylum restrictions, new numbers from the Department of Homeland Security show arrests have dropped 40% at the U.S.-Mexico border. Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas was in Tucson, Arizona Wednesday, a busy corridor for illegal crossings.
In 3 weeks, we have operated over 100 international repatriation flights to more than 20 countries, and removed or returned more than 24,000 individuals.
The president's executive order bars migrants who cross the U.S.-Mexico border illegally from seeking asylum once a daily threshold is met. Homeland Security says the 7-day average number of migrant apprehensions dropped below 2,400 per day, the lowest number since January 17, 2021, just before Biden took office.
When those numbers were very high, our manpower was being concentrated on processing. So with that decrease, we're able to field more agents out in the field.
Mayorkas said the numbers are moving in the right direction and praised the agency's staff. But he also noted that opponents have sued to stop the restrictions and says the asylum policy is no substitute for congressional action.
We are continuing to call on Congress to provide the resources we need to support our men and women on the front lines of our border.
President Biden is considered especially vulnerable with voters when it comes to immigration. Senior administration officials say the president's executive order will remain in effect until the daily average of migrants is less than 1,500 between ports of entry. Ariel Wessler, Spectrum News.
The first presidential debate of the election season is nearly up on us. The high-stakes affair in Atlanta is the earliest face-off between two candidates ever. Now, joining us to talk more about this and all of the political buzz is Alex Cohen. Now, Alex, it doesn't get any bigger than this. Who would you say actually has more to lose Thursday night?
You know, Dean, I am going to call this an even-Steven situation. I think for President Biden, the Trump campaign has set the bar so low that you could argue, hey, all he has to do is show up and show that he can walk to the podium, say a couple coherent thoughts, and he will have won the day. But that said, you know, it's been neck and neck in a lot of polls, especially in battleground states, showing that Trump is in the lead. So Biden's going to really have to push hard here. A poor debate performance could set him back significantly. Likewise, for Donald Trump, you know, he has done quite well in many ways, and yet he's a bit of a wild card, oftentimes unpredictable. And if President Biden is able to get under his skin, that could rattle Donald Trump. And if he, you know, goes off in any kind of way that might remind certain voters of a lot of the more unstable elements of when he was president in 2020, that could set him back significantly, too.
All right, Alex, I hear you when you say even Steven, but we've talked a lot about the key battleground states in this election, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, but what about Florida?
What about Florida, man? The Democrats can't seem to make up their minds about whether or not it is possible to flip that state. You know, we've seen competing remarks here from folks on President Biden's team as to whether or not this is a winnable state for Joe Biden. The most recent iteration being, nope, this is really, we've conceded the fact that Trump's got a hold on Florida. The problem is with this sort of back and forth, and anyone higher up saying, no, this is not possible for us, is what does that do to morale on the ground for all of the staffers, all of the folks who are really trying to get folks to show up and vote for Joe Biden in Florida? And there have been some signs, there have been some small gains for Democrats. We'll see what happens come November.
All right, Alex Cohen, with all of your political buzz. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Dean.
A life-changing night underway with the NBA draft coming up. Spectrum News goes one-on-one with a basketball prospect hoping to get a spot in the league.
Here's the deal. In this election year, people need a place to explore national issues that have an impact on their community. To understand those issues better, we're bringing together our team of local political journalists from across the country to break down what's happening. So join us every week to catch up on the key stories making a big difference across the nation and in your local community.
Watch The Big Deal with Errol Lewis Friday nights at 9 Eastern, 8 Central on Spectrum News Plus. Available on all of your favorite devices exclusively on Spectrum.
Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
There are various alerts related to the weather across the lower 48. Hi there, I'm meteorologist Robert Santos. We'll zoom in here and you'll see once again these areas in orange related to the heat. Excessive heat warnings there as well, and also severe thunderstorm watches. And then we also have some flood advisories here because of the monsoon storms that we've been moving across. In Southern California, the desert communities still have an excessive heat warning there. That's where those temperatures will easily be into the triple digits. If your travels will take you right around Lake Havasu City or Las Vegas, Palm Springs, all in the triple digits. In Los Angeles itself, around 80 degrees. Temperatures have come down from last weekend, but this weekend they'll start to go up again. In Texas, upper 90s to triple digits for those forecast highs. But take, for instance, Dallas. With that 99, you factor in the humidity, you could feel more like 110 degrees. And we're experiencing the same sort of mugginess down in Florida. As you know, this time of year, this tends to happen. Upper 80s in Tampa, low 90s in Orlando. But it'll feel anywhere from 5 to almost 10 degrees above those forecast highs. Even into Charleston, temperatures in the triple digits with that, the feels like temperature. Ridge of high pressure, yes, especially dominating across the lower 48 or the southern tier of the lower 48 there. System still moving across the north, but really not doing much, just causing temperatures to come down just a little bit. For instance, if we go in Boston, those areas of low pressure moving across the north will bring those temperatures down Friday, Saturday into the 70s, so below average. And then staying still close to average on Sunday, and then you see a couple of days, Monday, Tuesday, where it's going to be below the average of 80 degrees. You deserve a little bit of a cool down, or a lot of a cool down, considering how hot it has been there. In Louisville, Kentucky, hello to all of you out there. Average temperatures for you on Thursday, then we go up just a little bit. Warmest day here, it looks like, will be in the low 90s for Saturday, next Tuesday and Wednesday. In San Antonio, Texas, this is where you remain above average again for the next 7, with many days in the upper 90s and triple digits. So pace yourself. Don't do any yard work during the day. Make sure you do it early in the day or later, and just give yourself some extra breaks out there. In Los Angeles, 79 is the average, hovering close to that as we go into Saturday, through Saturday rather. Sunday, we go up about 8 degrees above average. Same thing for Monday, so a little warmer to start off the week. Okay, your temperature outlook for July 3rd through the 9th. This is where we're expecting warmer than average conditions.
A new report shows sales of new homes dropped last month as mortgage rates remain high. The federal government says newly built home sales fell more than 11% to less than 619,000 in May. Economists say that's the steepest monthly decline in 2 years. Meanwhile, home prices jumped last month to nearly $420,000, the highest price ever recorded by the National Association of Realtors. American soccer star Alex Morgan will not be playing with the U.S. women's soccer team at the Paris Olympics next month. Our head coach, Emma Hayes, named her 22-player roster with the 2024 Olympic Games Wednesday. Now, it includes 18 players and 4 alternates. 8 were on the 2020 Olympic team, and 10 played in last year's World Cup. Morgan, who competed in 3 Olympics, shared her disappointment on social media, but says she will still cheer on the team with the rest of the country. The NBA draft kicks off tonight in New York. It's going to be life-changing for a number of basketball prospects, including one star player making a name for himself in Texas. Spectrum's Adam Rousso sat down with him ahead of the draft.
What's the draft process kind of been like for you, basically? Maybe what you expected versus what reality was here the last 3
ups
months.
And downs for sure. It's way longer than people expect. You know, you're just working out a lot. You go to wherever you got to go. You work out every day, multiple times a day.
It's kind of like a job interview with each of these teams. What do you tell them? What do you talk about what you could bring to their franchise, both as a player and as a person?
I just treat them like conversations, you know. Just tell them about myself, how I grew up, my family, how I was raised, when I fell in love with the game.
That run to state, when you're playing Cason Wallace, Rylan Griffin, the Duncanville team, how much confidence did that give you as a player that, like, I kind of believe?
Championship, let alone Final Four or 4th, 5th round. We were supposed to lose to Richardson, so that whole season's special to me. Just knowing that McKinney's never done that before.
Did you get what you wanted out of Baylor, expectations-wise? How was that experience for the 1 year last year down there?
I got so much better this year, learned how to do different things, playing off the ball more. It's just kind of cool to see, though, because I don't notice it while I'm in the moment. When I'm hooping, I just know I'm getting better.
Walter has the answer. Walter, the bump, puts it down somehow.
I assume the whole fam's going to Brooklyn with you. What have they meant to you throughout your career?
Everything. They never missed games. My parents are big on supporting. They'd always take me to my workouts. They'd always pay for workouts if they needed to. Like, it didn't matter. It was just like they knew I loved basketball, and they were going to do whatever they could for me to help me.
Brooklyn, your name gets called. Have you envisioned it? Have you thought about it? Like, what's
sure.
that going to be like with the whole fam there and you kind of hearing your name called?
Yeah, it's going to be very emotional. It's going to be cool, surreal. No one's ever had this experience before. So it's going to be a lot of emotions running, I think, for all of us.
I'm Dean Meminger. Thank you for watching. Your Spectrum News in 90 is coming up. Stay with us, everyone.
At Spectrum News, we're committed to strengthening the fabric of local communities through our reporting, with stories that inspire and news that matters. Streaming live on your smart TV and connected devices, plus on-demand weather forecasts. Spectrum News Plus, local stories connecting communities. Exclusively for Spectrum customers. Now available on your favorite devices.
At Spectrum, our workforce of over 100,000 employees are all located right here in the U.S. You can find them in our stores, in the field, and in our call centers with 100% U.S.-based customer service. Our team works hard to provide the towns, cities, and neighborhoods they live in with the reliable services that everyone counts on, making us one of America's most trusted companies. We're Spectrum, creating jobs and opportunities across the country, and proud to be 100% U.S.-based.
Today I'm going to talk to you about physics. Come on in, girls. Let's go. This is the first rocket to get humans to Mars.
Really tall.
I'm a rocket structural engineer, designing and building parts of the rocket. You are the generation that will be stepping foot on Mars. Do I have a group of astronauts on my hands?
Yes.
You can.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.